I saw her the night my brother vanished. She was barefoot, glowing, surrounded by fireflies. They told me she was just a story. But stories don't breathe. And stories don't look you in the eye right before they take everything. My name is Kolechi. I was 8 when it happened. And I've spent every year since trying to pretend it didn't. People say grief is like water, it finds cracks in you and fills them. But in my case, it was on fire. It burned slowly and deep. My brother, Tob, was 12. He was taller than most boys his age, always barefoot, always singing to himself like he was the only person in the world who understood the rhythm. I remember the last thing he said to me. It wasn't goodbye. It wasn't I love you. It was, you hear that, Chi? The trees are singing tonight. I laughed. Shoved him a little. Trees don't sing, good brain. But he didn't laugh back. He just stared at the edge of the woods. There was a strange glow, like golden dust floating just above the ground. I remember thinking it looked like magic. Like something from the old folk tales Grandma Necker used to tell us when we were little. But I was too old to believe in that now. Wasn't I? It happened so quickly. One moment, Tob was humming a song I didn't recognize, his fingers twitching like he was conducting invisible music. And the next, he walked straight into the trees. No shoes. No flashlight. No goodbye. I ran after him. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember if I called for help. All I remember is the smell. The air changed. It went from smoky and warm to cold and sweet, like burnt oranges and old perfume. Then I saw her. A woman, standing in the middle of the path. Tall. Slender. Skin like wet stone. Her dress shimmered like oil on water. And around her, fireflies. Thousands. She didn't say a word. She just tilted her head and smiled. And behind her, my brother. Frozen. Eyes wide. I reached for him. But he vanished. Like smoke. Like a dream. And so did she. They never believed me. Not really. The elders said he ran away. My father said it was wolves. My mother. She just stopped speaking altogether. But I knew. The Queen of Fireflies had taken him. I told Grandma Necker once, years later. She stared at me with eyes full of fog. You saw her, she asked quietly. With your own eyes. I nodded. She reached into her wrapper and pulled out an old bone pendant. She only shows herself to those with memory in their blood. I didn't know what that meant then. But I do now. I stopped talking about Tob by the time I turned 50. What was the point? Everyone treated me like I was broken. Like I'd imagined the whole thing. They wanted me to forget. But I couldn't. His laugh still echoed in the yard at night. His songs came to me in dreams. And sometimes, I'd wake up to the sound of wings. Not bird wings. Soft. Insect wings. Like hundreds of them, flapping near my window. The fireflies. They never really left. They were waiting. Watching. And I could feel it. Some part of me knew. The Queen wasn't done with me. I turned 18 on the first full moon of the dry season. The night was quiet. Too quiet. Even the goats stopped bleating. That's when I heard it. Not with my ears. But inside me. Come back to where it began. I sat straight up in bed. My chest is pounding. The air smelled of that same burnt orange and old perfume. I knew where to go. And this time, I wasn't a child. I wasn't running. I was coming for answers. I was coming for Tob. And if I found her, if she really was the one who took him, then I'd make her regret the night she smiled at me beneath the fireflies. I left just before dawn. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't pack a thing. Just grabbed my brother's old scarf, the one he left behind, and slipped into the bush behind our father's house. The village fence was rusted and broken in places. No one fixed it. Maybe they thought if they left it ruined, the jungle would stay away. But I knew better. The jungle never stays away. It waits. And it remembers. It's strange how your feet remember parts your mind forgets. I hadn't walked this far since the night taupe vanished. And yet, every branch, every broken vine, every root twisting like veins in the earth, I knew them. The fireflies were back. Fewer this time. Slower. Like they were watching, not leading. I whispered to them. Not because I thought they'd answer, but because I didn't want to feel alone. Where is she? Why did she take him? They just flickered in the dark. And that's when I saw her. She stepped out of the trees like smoke. Her hair was matted, thick with mud and leaves. She wore a faded red wrapper and nothing on her feet. One eye was clouded, milky white, like cracked glass. The other, sharp. Too sharp. She didn't smile. Didn't blink. You've come to die, she said. I froze. No, I whispered. I've come for her. The woman sniffed the air like a dog. She already knows you're here. She knew before your feet touched the roots. I stepped forward. I need answers. No, she said. You need revenge. She was right. And I hated that. She took me deeper into the jungle. Said her name was Nerai, though she hadn't been called that in decades. Said the queen had once spared her. She set fire to the shrine, Nerai told me. Burned the elders where they stood. But her fire didn't touch me. Why not? I asked. She shrugged. Maybe she wanted me to remember what the rest wanted to forget. What did they forget? What they did to her. What they made her become. We sat by a small stream. She pulled out a carved bone, shaped like a beetle, and pressed it into my hand. You carry her memory now. Whether you like it or not. That was the first time I heard the name Ogutembi. The original name of the lost village. A name wiped from maps and erased from our stories. Nerai said the queen had once been its guardian. A healer. A protector. Loved by the children. Trusted by the gods. Until the drought came. Until the crops failed. Until the elders grew afraid. They blamed her, Nerai said. They said she angered the spirits. That her touch poisoned the land. I clenched my jaw. They sacrificed her. Yes, she nodded. But they didn't kill her. Then who did? I asked. She looked me dead in the eye. You did. Your bloodline. Your great-grandfather led the ritual. My breath caught. A pulse slammed into my chest like a drum. I wanted to call her a liar. I wanted to scream. But in my bones, I knew she was right. That night, I dreamed of fire. Of screams. Of a woman in white, tied to a stone altar, her body lit like a lantern. And of a man. Tall, thick-bearded. Leading a crowd in chants. Holding a torch. I had seen his photo before. In our home. Next to the family drums. My father's grandfather. The truth buried itself in my chest like a blade. This wasn't just about to be. This was about guilt. Generational violence. The kind that doesn't bleed. The kind that curses. When I woke, my palms were glowing. Golden. Like fireflies crawling beneath my skin. Nerai gasped. She's chosen you, she whispered. You're not just a seeker now. You're a mirror. Mirror for what? I asked. For her rage. For her sorrow. She pressed her forehead to mine. The queen doesn't take revenge all at once. She drips it. Like honey. Like poison. I looked at the jungle. And suddenly I could feel it breathing. It reminded me. It remembered my blood. And it was ready to show me everything. Narai becomes a reluctant mentor with secrets of her own. The truth about Kolechi's bloodline adds a layer of internal conflict. Kolechi's transformation begins, not into a hero, but into a reckoner. The queen is no longer a villain, she's becoming something far more powerful, justice incarnate. They used to say fireflies only came out to play. But I've learned the truth. Fireflies don't play. They mourn. They remember. The deeper Narai led me into the jungle, the more the world stopped feeling like the one I knew. Time shifted. The trees leaned in. The air became heavy, not like a storm, but like breath being held. We reached the edge of a place she called Oka Grove. In our dialect, Eke means hand. She said the grove had once held the names of every child born in Ogutembe. Now, it holds the memories of the ones taken. And the fireflies were waiting. Thousands of them. Spiraling like galaxies made of sorrow. Don't speak unless spoken to, Narai whispered. This grove is sacred. It knows your blood. She handed me a god carved with an old symbol, 2 mirrored eyes. It hummed in my grip. My hands trembled. The fireflies circled me, not in chaos, but in language. They were forming patterns. Symbols. Ancient ones. And then I heard it, not aloud. But inside my chest. We remember the fire that tasted her skin. We remember the boy who screamed, I'll come back for you. We remember you. I dropped to my knees. The voices weren't mine. They were the queen's fireflies. They weren't insects. They were witnesses. To her suffering. To the betrayal. To the night it all began. The grove went silent. And then. She stepped from the mist. She wasn't glowing this time. No illusion. No spirit haze. Just her. The queen. The woman who had taken my brother. The woman I had vowed to destroy. But now, standing before her, I didn't feel rage. I felt grief. She looked tired. Like she'd carried the jungle on her back for centuries. Like the fireflies were all that held her together. Queen, softly. You've come far. Kolechi. I flinched. She knew my name. I said, shaky. Where is my brother? She tilted her head. Queen. He was the first in a long time who did not run. He stood. And sang. He said your name like a prayer. Before he gave himself to the veil. I said. You took him. Queen. No. He chose. As you are choosing now. I clenched my fist. I said. I didn't come to choose. I came to make it right. Her eyes. They fled with gold. Not anger. Something else. Then listen, child of the betrayer. Let me tell you what they did to me. She showed me everything. Not with words. With memory. She placed a hand over my chest, and my vision burned away. I saw a younger version of her, laughing, healing, singing with the village children. She was a guardian. She was loved. Then the crops failed. The sky stopped raining. And the people, led by my ancestor. They turned. She poisons the land. She whispers to spirits. She calls lightning at night. They dragged her to the center of the village. Tied her to the stone. Lit the fire. I saw it all. Felt it. The heat. Her screams. The betrayal. But the fireflies came. They didn't save her. They preserved her. Something inside her snapped that night. The love she had. It cuddled. And she was reborn. Not a spirit. Not a ghost. But a reckoning. I fell backward from the vision, gasping. Eyes wet. Mouth trembling. She crouched beside me. Queen. They painted me as a monster. But I am only a memory. And memory seeks balance. I, barely breathing. Then why the children? Why my brother? She looked toward the grove. Queen. Because the curse only lifts when someone willingly carries the sorrow. And only the innocent ever offer themselves. But now, a child of the guilty has returned. She offered me the bone beetle. It glowed red now. Queen. You can be a witness. Or you can become a weapon. I, quiet. And if I walk away? Queen. Then your people will forget again. The fireflies will wait another century. And the innocent will keep dying. I held the beetle in my hand. And I thought. Would you take revenge for someone you've never met? Would you bleed for a wrong your ancestors committed? Would you carry grief that doesn't belong to you? Just to stop it from spreading. I closed my hand around the beetle. And whispered. I will remember. The fireflies swarmed me. Not in anger. In silence. I welcome you. And for the first time, I felt them whisper to me not as a stranger, but as one of their own. Kelechi now understands that revenge isn't just destruction, it's restoration of truth. He chooses to become the Queen's witness, which means becoming a living archive of pain, betrayal, and justice. The Queen's rage is recontextualized, it's not evil, it's ancestral agony unresolved. They said it was buried. Swallowed by time. That the lost village was only a cautionary tale. But it's not gone. It breathes. And every breath tastes like smoke, guilt, and something waiting. We walked in silence, me and Nyorai. The jungle had changed again. It no longer whispered, it watched. Vines parted like they knew where I was going. And then, the ground opened up. Not like a trap, more like a memory peeling back its skin. Stone steps curved downward, swallowed by green light. And beneath the roots of the world. I saw it. Ogutembe. The real Ogutembe. Not dust. Not a ruin. A village caught between worlds. Houses made of carved wood, half-eaten by moss. Shrines broken but humming. Totems with eyes carved in sorrow. And at the center. The altar. The one from my visions. Blackened by flame. Cracked but intact. I stepped forward and heard it. Not a voice. But breathing. Soft. Wounded. Not human. The village wasn't dead. It was alive in pain. That's when I saw them. Children. Not flesh, stone. Dozens. Each one frozen mid-movement. Some covering their faces. Some reach upward. All of them, crying. I touched the cheek of one statue. Wet. They cry only when they are remembered, Nyorai whispered. Are these the children? She took it. She shook her head. No. These are the ones offered. Offered. I echoed. To stop the queen from rising, she said. After the fire, the elders made sacrifices. Children who were born under the blood moon. Children with bright dreams. They believed the queen fed on innocence. So they gave it freely. I nearly vomited. My God. There was no God here, Kelechi. Only fear and silence. That's when we heard footsteps. Not fast. Not panicking. Steady. Deliberate. A man emerged from the broken shrine near the altar. Tall. Thin. His back bent. His face is like folded back. But his eyes. Bright. Sharp. Too alive. So, he rasped. The boy has come. Nyorai stepped back. She looked shaken. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. Neither should the past, the man said, staring at me. But here we are. Who are you? I asked. He smirked. Once. I was a child saved by the sacrifice. Now, I am the last survivor of Ogutembe. Why didn't she take you? His voice hardened. Because I watched. I did not run. I did not scream. And so she spared me. To carry the story. You could have told the world. And what? Let your kind call me mad. Let history forget her pain in favor of your comfort. He stepped closer. You carry her fire now. But fire is not justice. It is destruction, boy. No, I whispered. It's a memory. And memory demands truth. The elder sat beside the cracked altar. Your ancestor, he began, was not the only one who betrayed her. The queen's real name was Ekin. She was promised to the river god at birth, chosen to bridge this world and the next. But when her power grew, the men grew afraid. She could heal what they couldn't. So they turned on her. Accused her of heresy. Called her unnatural. And when the drought came, they called her the curse. So they killed her. Worse, he said, voice shaking. They used her blood to feed their false gods. And the fireflies. They were her soul, shattered into 1,000 lights. They remember her. They carry her pain. And now, they carry you. I turned toward the altar. And there she was. Ekin. No longer veiled in light. No longer regal. Just a woman. Scarred. Burned. Crying. She looked at the statue of children. Then at me. Do you see now? She asked. I nodded. They lied about you. They lied about everything, she whispered. Why show me? I asked. Why not burn it all? Because I have burned enough. But my vengeance needs a new name. A new voice. Yours. She held out her hand. Become a memory. Or let it die again. And in that moment, I understood. This revenge isn't about blood. It's about the truth. Carried. Spoken. Preserved. And the first truth I would carry was this. They didn't kill her to protect us. They killed her to silence her. The lost village is real, preserved in magical stasis. The last elder survivor reframes the narrative. He's not an ally, but a keeper of guilt. Kolechi meets Ekin, the queen, as a human first, a victim, not a villain. The theme of revenge evolves. It's now about voice, memory, and burning lies, not just burning bodies. You can inherit land. You can inherit names. But no one tells you that you can inherit silence, too. And silence is where betrayal sleeps. I returned to the village just after sunset. No one saw me come through the back path behind the Kosovo fields. Or maybe they did. Maybe they looked right through me. Like they had the day after Tob disappeared. The house was quiet. My mother had her Bible in her lap, but her eyes didn't move. My father was sharpening his machete on the back porch, like always. Like nothing had ever happened. I stood at the doorway for too long. And then my father spoke, without turning around. You smell like her. I froze. Who? I asked. The one they buried in fire, he said. The one we were told never to speak of. I stepped inside. We had a back room. Always locked. Always dusty. They said it was full of old things. Clothes, drums, broken pots. Things that didn't matter. But that night, after my father said nothing else, I found the key. In his tool drawer. Wrapped in the same scarf Tob used to wear. The door creaked like a throat clearing itself. Inside. Old fabrics hung from nails, covering shelves. Charms. Skulls. Masks carved with screaming mouths. And in the center of it all, a mirror. Shattered. Framed in gold, with firefly wings sealed behind glass. When I touched it, it burned. And then I saw his face. My great-grandfather. The man from the Queen's memory. Holding a torch. chanting as a king burned. Behind the mirror, hidden in a rusted tin box, was a book, handwritten. The Smell of Ash. Titled only, Book of the Unnamed. Inside, names of the children offered, dates, blood moons, descriptions, and beside them, the names of the elders who made the decision. Every one of them marked. One name was circled, underlined in red. Obina Odenigbo, my great-grandfather. Next to it, gave the healer's blood to the stone, bound her memory in the fire. Betrayer of the bridge. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just history. It was our history. My family had hidden this, protected it. They'd helped bury the truth. I came out of the room shaking, the book in my hands. My parents stood in the kitchen, faces pale. They already knew. I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" Mother, whispering. "Because it would have killed you. Like it killed your uncle." Father. "We were told never to speak it. The church said we'd be cursed." I said, "You were cursed anyway." I threw the book onto the table. Pages opened on their own, as if the words were tired of being closed. I said, "Do you even know what they did? What did we did?" My father looked at the pages. His hands trembled. But he said nothing. That's when I realized. Silence was his inheritance. His father's. And now, I was the one breaking it. That night, I couldn't sleep. The mirror shard I'd taken from the back room lay on my floor. It hummed. At midnight, the fireflies came. But this time, they didn't come alone. Voices. Dozens. Whispers in my ears. In my bloodstream. He betrayed her for favor. He sold her name for rain. He danced while she burned. I covered my ears. Fell to my knees. Screamed. And the shard paused once, before showing me a new vision. The night after the sacrifice, when a king's body disappeared from the altar, and the elders laughed, drank, said they'd silence the gods. I woke up shaking, and I knew what I had to do next. I took the book of the unnamed. I took the mirror shard. And I took the scarf, my brothers. I walked to the center of the village, where the well stood, where the elders still gathered for counsel. And I spoke. For the first time in decades, I named what they did. I told them what lay beneath the earth. I opened the book and read every name, every child, every sacrifice. The elders screamed. Some wept. One collapsed. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Because fireflies filled the sky, spinning above me, forming a spiral. Ikin was listening. The jungle was listening. And so was Tob. Kolechi now confronts generational silence, the heaviest form of betrayal. His family's complicity becomes personal, their choice to suppress truth becomes the wound he must cauterize. His identity shifts from seeker to keeper of truth. The fireflies, now fully bonded to him, unlock visions and memories once sealed. He chooses to break the cycle, not with fire, but with voice. They feared her power, so they buried her name. But a name is not a spell you can silence. It waits. And when it is called again, it answers. I walked alone. This time, the fireflies didn't lead me, they followed. Like witnesses. Or judges. The jungle no longer resisted me. Branches bowed. Roots parted. The earth knew I carried the book. And the queen's pain. Nerai met me at the edge of the grove. She looked at my eyes for a long time, then nodded. You've seen it all, haven't you? Not all, I said. But enough. I opened the book of the unnamed in front of her. It's time she said her name. Not the one they gave her in fear. Her true name. When I stepped into the grove, the air cracked. Like lightning. But silent. The fireflies didn't soar this time. They split. Half circled me. The other half formed a path leading to the altar. And standing there, she waited. Not as a spirit. Not as fire. Not as vengeance. As herself. Ikin. She looked younger. Her eyes are softer. Hair braided in the old way. Cloth the color of river soil wrapped around her shoulders. And in that moment, she was not the Queen of Fireflies. She was a woman. Wronged. Remembered. She held out her hand. Ikin. Do you know what they took from me first? I nodded. Your name. Ikin. Before the fire, before the lies. They stopped calling me Ikin. They started calling me Enenimio, Mother of Spirits. As if I was no longer a woman. Just a myth. Just fear. Say it, I whispered. She stepped into the fireflies. And with a voice like thunder whispered through silk, she said, I am Ikin Ehoma Nwonyobi. Daughter of Obioma. Healer of Ogutembi. Sister to thunder. Wife to no man. And mother to memory. The fireflies froze. Then flared. Golden light. Heat without flame. Power without violence. Every statue in the grove began to hum. The faces of the stone children turned, slowly, toward her. And for the first time, they smiled. The fireflies lifted into the sky. They spoke, not in words, but in shapes. Symbols. I understand them now. Somehow. I saw names. Dates. Sins. Truths hidden beneath layers of time. And one truth shone brightest. She never wanted vengeance. She wanted to be seen. To be named. To be mourned. The fireflies surged around her body. Then around mine. She stepped forward. You've carried the burden, Kolechi. Now, carry the light. She touched my forehead. And everything changed. I saw the jungle as she did. Alive. Ancient. Breathing. Every tree remembered. Every breeze carried whispers. Every insect wing sang a story. I felt her memories pour into me. The laughter of children she once healed. The betrayal of the council. The scream that left her throat as the flames took her name. And then. Peace. She sighed. Stepped back. Looked at me like a mother looks at a son she finally recognizes. It is done. What is? I asked. The waiting. And what now? Now, they will know my name. She stepped into the spiral of fireflies. And vanished. Not like smoke. Not like magic. Like a prayer finally answered. I stayed in the grove until sunrise. The statues crumbled gently to dust. The children were freed. The trees began to bloom with golden flowers. The silence lifted. Nerai placed a hand on my shoulder. She passed it to you, didn't she? Her name. Her memory. Her fire. Then we begin, she said. A new story. I looked at the book. Then at the broken mirror shard in my satchel. Then the fireflies are still circling my chest like a slow orbit. And I spoke her name. Ikin Ehoma Nwonyobi. The wind shifted. And the jungle listened. The act of naming reclaims Ikin's humanity, and reframes the revenge arc into one of remembrance and dignity. Kolechi accepts not only the role of seeker, but torchbearer, the new voice of a truth long silenced. The Queen's true desire is revealed, not death, but memory. This chapter completes her transformation from feared entity to ancestral mother figure, and Kolechi from haunted brother to spiritual keeper. You can carry a name. You can even carry the truth. But until you face the weight of what it cost, you will never be free. It began with a tremor. Just after I spoke her name, Ikinehomanwanyobi. The trees bent toward me. The soil cracked. The firefly spiraled downward, toward the base of the oldest tree in the grove. Its roots twisted like thick veins, gnawed and knotted around something hidden. When I stepped forward, the roots opened. Not like they were breaking, but like they were making way. A tunnel of earth appeared, glowing gold with firefly light. Nerai placed a hand on my back. "You have to go alone," she said. "What waits down there isn't meant for witnesses. It's meant for reckoners." I swallowed hard and stepped beneath the earth. The tunnel twisted deep, but I never felt cold. Only warmth. Heavy, like breathing on my neck. Then, the chamber. A dome of stone and root. Carvings lined the walls, each one telling a piece of her story. At the center, a circle of ancient stools, 10 in total. And seated on each one were children. Not ghosts. Not statues. Spirits. Each wore symbols etched in ash. Some smiled. Some wept. Some simply stared. They were the victims. And they were waiting for me. The chamber paused with a sound deeper than sound. And then the voices came. Not all at once. One by one. "My name is Obianuju. They tied me while I slept. I was Nkem. I asked where Mama went. They said I would see her soon. My name was Ebuka. I was 7. I forgave them. I don't know why. Their words didn't accuse me. They invited me to hear. To feel. To understand." Then, one stood. The eldest among them. A boy with silver lines carved down his face. "You are the blood of the betrayer," he said. "You come with a firefly light, but does that mean you carry her truth? Or just her guilt?" I hesitated. "I carry both," I said. "But I came to carry something else, too. Justice." The children circled me. Their eyes glowed with flame. But it wasn't a fire that burned. It was a memory. A symbol appeared on the floor beneath me. A spiral of names. In the center, Obina Odenigbo. My great-grandfather. "Speak for your blood," the boy said. "Speak why it should not be burned away." I stepped forward. He led the sacrifice. He chose fear. But I did not. I chose to see what he refused to face. I chose to remember. One of the younger spirits stepped forward. She placed her palm to my chest. "We remember your brother. He sang for us. He gave himself freely. So we offer you a choice." 3 bowls appeared before me. Ash, to destroy the bloodline. Water, to wash the pain but forget it. Flame, to carry the fire forward. To become its voice. I stared at each one. Ash would end it. Water would erase it. But flame. Flame meant living with it. Speaking it. Becoming it. I reached forward. And chose the flame. The moment I did, the chamber exploded in golden light. The spirits didn't disappear. They bowed. And one by one, they whispered. "We see you now. And we are no longer afraid." When I emerged from the roots, the entire jungle had gone still. Even the birds were silent. Even the wind held its breath. Nerai waited. "Did they judge you?" she asked. "No," I said. "They let me judge myself." "And what now?" I looked at the fireflies circling above us. They burned brighter now. Not like sparks. Like lanterns. "Now, I speak," I said. Everywhere they silenced her name, I will say it. Everywhere they buried their guilt, I will dig. And for every child who was taken, I will remember. Nyorai nodded. Then you are no longer just a bearer. You are the reckoner. Kelechi undergoes a spiritual trial, not of punishment, but perspective. The sacrificed children become judges, but offer redemption. The trial presents three paths, echoing real-world moral dilemmas: erasure, denial, or remembrance through pain. Kelechi's choice to carry the fire marks the emotional and moral climax of his journey, choosing justice with memory, not destruction. This act ties together all acts: Ikin's legacy, the ancestral sin, and the future path of healing. The first time I heard children say her name, it didn't feel like rebellion. It felt like rain after a drought. Soft. Healing. Undeniable. And it terrified the ones who built their power on forgetting. I returned to the surface at dawn. But the sky wasn't pale blue. It was glowing. Not with sunlight. With fireflies. Thousands. Maybe millions. Hovering above rooftops. Resting on windows. Trailing behind children on their way to the stream. And no one dared swat them. No one dared chase them off. Because everyone remembered something. Even if they didn't know what. It started with the twins, Ozioma and Kambili. 5 years old. Always humming nonsense. But that morning, they sang something different. Something old. In a language no one had taught them. Ikin. Nwanyobi. Ikin, Enututu. Ikin, in the light. The mothers froze. The elders turned pale. The preacher dropped his Bible. I saw it in their eyes. Fear. But not of the song. Of the memory behind it. Because if the children remembered her, they'd never fear her again. And if they didn't fear her, they might stop fearing the ones who burned her. By afternoon, Pastor IB gathered in the village in front of the church. He stood at the pulpit like it was a war drum. Pastor IB. Blasphemy. These fireflies are not signs, they are curses. This is the devil's deception. We do not name witches here. We cast them out. He turned to me, eyes burning. You brought this plague upon us, Kelechi. You and your dead brother's madness. The crowd shifted. Not toward me, but away from him. Because the fireflies had landed on his podium. And didn't move. Didn't flinch. Just watched. After the crowd scattered, my mother pulled me aside. Her hands trembled. Mother. You need to understand. When I was a girl, they made us swear to never speak her name. Don't even whisper it. I said. Who made you swear? Mother. The church. The elders. My own mother. They said if we kept her name buried, the droughts would pass. The land would forgive. She pulled something from under her blouse. A necklace. With a tiny bone charm. I recognized it. The Queen's sigil. 2 mirrored eyes, watching in both worlds. I never believed the lies, my mother said. But I was too afraid to believe the truth. She placed it in my palm. Don't be like us, Kelechi. Don't be afraid. That night, I went to the village square. The fireflies danced overhead. Children chased their light. I told Ikin's story. Out loud. Start to finish. No apologies. No shame. And for the first time, the villagers listened. But not everyone was silent. A man stepped from the shadows. Leather cloak. Eyes like oil. Enough of this myth, he growled. Do you know how many years we kept her silence buried? Do you know how many deals were made to keep it that way? I knew his face. An elder. Daiko Bioma. A direct descendant of one of Ikin's banners. If her name rises again, he said, our protection ends. You will bring her wrath. No, I replied. I'll bring her peace. He pulled a blade from his side. Carved with markings I'd seen in the book of the unnamed. then die with her truth. He lunged. Faster than I expected. But he didn't make it to me. The fireflies. They swarmed him. Not in fury. In judgment. They spiraled around his face. Into his mouth. Beneath his skin. And then he collapsed. Not burned. Not broken. Just. Still. And from his chest. A single firefly rose. Glowing white. Cleansed. Returned. The villagers gasped. And someone whispered. She's not angry. She's watching. She's awake. The village begins remembering on its own, a communal shift from fear to reverence. Children become the new carriers of memory, unburdened by the old silence. The pastor and the elder represent the last gatekeepers of denial, but the truth overwhelms them. Kolechi's role expands, no longer just truth teller, but protector of those who remember. The fireflies are redefined not as avengers, but as judges. Carriers of peace for those who surrender guilt. Some blood carries curses. Some carry power. But the rarest kind carries both. And what do you do with that kind? That's what decides if your name becomes a story. Or a warning. It started the next morning. I thought the fireflies were done with me. After the trial, after the songs, after the judgment, they would let me breathe. But they didn't drift anymore. They pulled. Like a tide. Leading me deeper into the jungle. Beyond even the grove. Beyond the lost village. To a place no one had dared mention. A hut. Swallowed by moss. Covered in silence so thick I felt it in my bones. Where are you taking me? I whispered. And the fireflies hovered over the door. Glowing brighter than I'd ever seen them. I stepped inside the hut. At first, I saw nothing. Then. A flicker. A whisper. And then a face. A girl. Maybe 14. Skin dark like river clay. Eyes too old for her age. She sat in the center of the hut. Surrounded by carved bones and folded cloth. Her arms etched with symbols. The same ones from Ikin's altar. And then she spoke. You're late. I froze. Who are you? My name, she said, is Nanya. My mother was born on the river. My father was born of betrayal. I didn't understand. Not yet. Then she stood. And the fireflies surrounded her. Not watching. Obeying. And I knew. You're her blood. And she whispered. I carry both legacies. Nanya wasn't just a child. She was the last link. The quiet child of Ikin's secret lineage. Her body born of a forbidden union. Between healer and betrayer. Your ancestors burned my grandmother, she said. But he also loved her. Once. They don't speak of that, I said. Of course they don't. Because love doesn't fit in a history carved by hate. She opened a cloth bundle. Inside, a dagger made of obsidian. Etched with both sigils. Ikin's spiral flame. And the mark of Obina Odenigbo, the betrayer. This blade can end the line, she said. Or it can seal a new one. You want me to choose? No, she said, stepping closer. We choose. Together. Word spread fast. Someone saw us return from the hut. Saw Nanya. Saw the blade. Fear snapped back into the village like a rubber band. Old voices began to rise. That girl is cursed. She's the queen reborn. She'll finish what Ikin started. I tried to speak at the gathering. They shouted at me. But then Nanya stepped forward. Come. Barefoot. Unblinking. You killed me before I was born, she said. But I came anyway. I came to give you a choice. Remember, or repeat. And then. She lifted the blade. Not to strike. To offer. That night, we gathered at the altar in the grove. Me, Nanya, Nyorai, and the children. All the ones who sang. The fireflies hovered above. Nanya placed the blade on the altar. I placed the book of the unnamed beside it. Then I took a deep breath. And so did she. We cut our palms. Let the blood drip. Into the fire. Our blood. The betrayers and the betrayed. United. The flame didn't roar. It sighed. A deep, quiet exhale. Like a pain finally named. And from the center of the flame, the image of Ikin rose. Smiling. The village stood in silence. They saw it too. Her face. Her peace. And for the first time, no one ran. No one cursed. Someone in the back began to hum. Then another. Then words formed. Ikin a woman wonobi. Her name, like a prayer. The fireflies echoed Nanya. They didn't burn. They were blessed. And then I knew. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It never was. It was about reclaiming what was stolen. About healing with truth. Not hiding with silence. And Nanya. She wasn't the end of the fire. She was the beginning. The child of both bloodlines becomes the ultimate symbol of reconciliation and the tension between vengeance and renewal. Kolechi is no longer the sole bearer of Ikin's fire, it is now shared, rooted in legacy and choice. The village's panic reflects the true cost of suppression, fear breeds resistance to truth. The altar is redefined, from a site of sacrifice to a place of rebirth. The fireflies become witnesses of peace, not just judgment. Silence was once our shield. But silence let the rot grow. Now, we speak. Not with rage, but with memory. And memory, when spoken in truth, becomes a fire that never dies. We place the book of the unnamed on the village square. Not behind glass. Not on a pedestal. On a bench. Where anyone could sit. Read. Touch. Weep. Names once whispered in fear were now carved into stone. Beneath the altar. Under a canopy of fireflies. Lit by oil lamps every night. Children gathered there like it was a shrine. Not to pray. To remember. Even the elders who once trembled before it. Now came in silence. Not to confess. But to finally look the truth in the eye. The news spread fast. Journalists came. Scholars. YouTubers with cameras. They wanted the legend. The queen. The firefly goddess who almost burned a village. But that's not what they found. They found a girl, Nanya. Teaching songs to children. And me, barefoot in the grove. Planting cassava where the altar once stood. Is it true she was a witch? One woman asked. No, I said. She was a healer. You called her a witch because you were too afraid to call her right. Is this your religion now? Another asked. No, I said. It's our reckoning. One afternoon, I heard singing in the church. Hesitant. Broken. But sincere. I stepped inside. And saw Pastor IB. On his knees. Alone. They told me I was guarding souls, he said. But I was only guarding secrets. Forgive me. I didn't say a word. Just sat beside him. 2 men. No choir. No fireflies. Just silence. But this time. A healing silence. Nanya began planting herbs outside the old grove. Not to sell. Not to heal wounds. To teach. Every child learned the name of a plant and the story behind it. This is Enchoanwu, Ikin used it for fever. This is Ojulisai, Obina used it to clean wounds. Before he forgot himself. This is a memory. We grow it now. I watched her one day, hair in braids, hands in dirt. She wasn't trying to be a queen. She was being a root. And roots, when left undisturbed, grow forest. One night, as I sat under the tree where it all began, I noticed something. The fireflies were fading. Not all at once. One by one. Like candles being blown out. Gently. Not in sadness. In completion. I reached into my satchel. Pulled out the last shard of the queen's mirror. Hold it to the moonlight. It didn't burn this time. It reflected my face. Older now. Softer. And behind me, just for a moment, Ikin. Smiling. Free. Now, when babies are born in our village, some are named Ikin. Not as a warning. As an honor. When stories are told by moonlight, the fireflies sometimes return. Not to guide, but to listen. And we say her name in the open. Ikin a woman Wonyobi. Daughter. Healer. Flame. Forgiveness. No one flinches. No one lowers their voice. Because we've learned. You cannot bury truth with silence. You can only delay its bloom. And now, it grows everywhere. Legacy shifts from silence to story, the truest form of cultural healing. The fireflies were never ghosts. They were reminders. Memory in motion. The final shift, Ikin is not avenged, but remembered. Fully. By choice. Kolechi is no longer a seeker. He is a storyteller, not of horror, but of reckoning. Narnia is the future. Not a queen. Not a vessel. Just a voice that refuses to forget. If you love emotionally driven stories rooted in truth, myth, and memory, hit that subscribe button. We drop long-form voiceover stories every week, stories that don't just entertain, they stay with you.